and you see a boat off to the right. So you have enough detail to know what's being looked at, what's being protected, and then appropriate action can be taken. So a little recap on the detector itself, which is the important part. We'll start over in the upper left-hand corner. You'll see that it's full HD images. So we get 2 megapixel images during the day, and you can store up to 2,000 images in the detector. Now that's the first lens, but the second lens, the one to the right, will work at night, and it's designed to give you 1280 by 960 high definition images, so a little less than 2 megapixel. And we'll also work with a 940 nanometer infrared flash illumination. So you can actually use this in some ideal locations where the standard 850 nanometer IR can be problematic. For example, grow facilities for cannabis. So here we don't have that issue where the buds are going to be affected. And you can get out to about 98 feet in complete darkness with this detector. We work with significantly reduced false alarms. We're going to go into more detail in the cloud on that. But I think it's also important to note, since this is battery operated, you have a battery life that can go up to 400 days or 50,000 events. So 400 days is more than a year, and that's a big advantage. And of course, the more it's active, the more battery power is drained. So we'll get to that in some of the accessories in just a moment on how that is dealt with by Recon Eyes. It's also military grade. So notice the field tested range of operation. We'll forget the centigrade, that's for the Europeans. Here it's minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So in the Los Angeles area, you've got good weather out there, but I'm out here in Palm Springs and they've got a 25-degree difference with you guys. In fact, we'll hit 100 degrees out here. So installations in the desert where you get a lot of construction. In fact, there'll be a construction project out here involving a new arena. You put Recon Eyes on this during the construction phase, it can handle the heat and deliver the information to the people that need to have it. It's easy to install, just like Videofied was, but I think you'll discover that this particular product installs even quicker and easier than Videofied did. And Paul will explain that when we get to the graphic user interface. Last but not least is at the top. It's a reliable and secure 2.4 gigahertz low power radio. So it has the ability to transfer data up to 545 yards line of direct sight. So a very interesting detector, and it's the main part, but it has to communicate with the bridge. So this is the bridge, and it's now working on 4G mobile data. We know that 3G is getting sunsetted, so we'll go with 4G, and you will need to have a SIM card. So you can get a program from just about any of the major carriers, and more than likely you have that with your existing mobile phones or tablets and have a plan. So this will need a SIM card that'll run probably 3 gigabytes of data for what you're going to do. And that'll handle up to 8 detectors that will communicate with it. Battery life is up to 150 days. You'll see that there are 4 bays for the batteries. We'll talk a little bit when we get to the accessories about what one of those bays can actually do to keep the power up even longer. And then you have a reliable 2.4 gigahertz low power radio. Again, 545 yards with direct line of sight. That's in feet, about 1,600 feet. I think in 2 slides, I'm going to show you a little bit of how that physically works. The main thing, though, is again, it's easy to install and it's adjustable for directional fine tuning. Now, there's an option. You don't have to have this on the installation, but it's recommended that you do, because what you're trying to do is deter, have people know that they're being monitored. So this is a device that gives you a loud siren, 98 decibels, and a flashing beacon that's going to discourage individuals from continuing whatever they're planning. Again, it operates on batteries up to about 150 days, and also has the same rugged construction that allows it to operate in extreme cold or all the way up to very high degree temperatures. Also, again, 2.4 gigahertz. Now that's the basic system: detector, bridge, and then the add-on siren. How does it work? Well, it's passive infrared sensors, and it sends a signal that is tracking thermal signatures across the monitored area. So you're looking for people, vehicles that shouldn't be there, and you have to work with available light conditions. So we do have some built-in things with the detector that help improve that, as you saw from the nighttime video pictures we just sent. Captures the image and then it generates an alarm. So you move from detection to controlled protection inside a second. This is just a little drawing to give you an idea. So a person comes in and gets detected, and it immediately sends the information to the bridge. The bridge relays that to the cloud so that you could react. And you can do it through the Cloud Center, either as a do-it-yourself situation. For example, if you were selling it to a construction company, they might have a project manager on site during the evening that would receive this data, and then they could take the appropriate investigation steps. Or it could be a monitored situation. You can use your favorite monitoring center that uses the IMIX platform, and the signals will go into IMIX and into the operator, and the operator can follow their script to decide what the next steps will be. And of course, the whole idea here is in number 3, to protect, to make sure that the threat that's being seen can be addressed, and hopefully preventative measures taken. We're seeing an increase in the theft of catalytic converters off of vehicles. So if you have a client that has a truck fleet or anything that you need to protect along that line, the last thing they need is a downed vehicle. So this system will allow them to protect against someone coming in and trying to take that converter out in seconds. And undoubtedly, you can think of other applications that this would be very useful as well. In the graphic user face, Paul is going to illustrate this a lot better, but this is just one simple chart to give you an idea of how it sees in the range. So out to 11 yards or 33 feet, you have a pretty good wide spread, which is your wide angle view in the camera lens. But you also have a reach out to 38.2 yards, or literally over 110 feet. In the graphic user interface, this is very well illustrated. So pay attention to that when Paul gets to it. I think you'll be quite surprised about how it works and how you can adjust the detection zones, remotely even. You don't have to be on site to do this once you've got it all set up. And the other best thing about the system is the mesh network. So this particular diagram is showing you 3 cameras, 3 detectors that now communicate to the bridge. How do you get to 545 yards of sight? Well, as you can see, the camera is on the left, pointing to the left. The one on the bottom is pointing south, and the one on the right is pointing east. So if you've got a site, as long as you have direct line of sight that you need to cover a large area, you can physically do that. Out to, as you can see in the first bullet point, 1,640 feet. Again, direct line of sight. But you can also, in a mesh network, extend it with more cameras where they're going to bounce and ping off of one another, so you have flexibility in how you're going to protect. In this diagram, we've shown 6 detectors that are communicating with the bridge. So there's physically 7 devices that are going to that SIM card and sending out the information to the cloud. The accessories that are available to you are several chargers. One is a 12-bay charger to keep batteries charged up, or the 4-bay charger. But the third device you see is a very important device to have. It's the connector. So it's required for configuration and installation, but it works with the cloud system. So you have the ability to line things up and through the cloud, make sure that the mesh network is communicating with one another and back to the bridge. And once you've identified that and secured it, then you're good to go. Excuse me. And then, of course, the batteries. The bridge comes with 4 batteries, and you need more that's available. You also have a mounting plate, a mounting screw, and an L-shaped adapter, and that's your construction material. It's that simple. It can be placed on poles or whatever you need to put it on so that it's secure. And again, the graphic user interface has tools for you to make sure that it's stable and you're getting the detection that you need. But this is one of the cool parts. On the left, you see a solar panel. So if you want to make sure that power is up continuously and you don't have to run out and change batteries physically, which is about the only thing you have to do with Recon Eyes in a in-person mode, well, you can deploy the solar panel. And in the bridge, one of the battery positions, which I believe is the lower right-hand corner, can have a special battery pack that's designed to take the charge from the solar panel and trickle charge the other 3 batteries. So literally, Recon Eyes can stay up for about as long as you need if you go with the solar panel. Then you have a mains power charger and a demo case if you turn this into a rental unit, maybe it's going to stay up for 3 to 6 months. So you have the case, easy handle. When they're done, they pack it back up and you pick it up or they send it back to you. But it's good to have the demo case, especially if you're going to demonstrate it for a few days and then come and pick it up. Makes it so much easier. But that gives you an idea of the accessories. And now it's time to let Paul show you the magic. The magic is the cloud. Being in control has never been easier. So I'm going to get out of here and have Paul, if you stop sharing, here we go. Paul, it's all yours, my friend.
Welcome everybody. Apologies, I've not used this before. Can everybody hear me?
Your audio is coming in a little muddled, but I can hear you. Here, I'm going to make you presenter now so that you can share your screen.
Okay, thank you.
Might take a moment. There you go. You should have the privileges now.
Thank you so much. So welcome everybody. Thank you for joining today. As Steve said, I'm the VP of Sales with Recognize. So I'm here just to quickly go through the user interface with you. And okay, so sorry about this, guys. It's probably not as polished as Steve's is. So I'm just gonna. So I'm joining the user interface now. So the user interface is a login. We have 2 servers, both West Coast and East Coast, and we have a third coming online and one also in Canada. So as Steve pointed out, the user interface can be used in 2 ways. Actually, it can be used in 3 ways. So the first one is that, as you're seeing here, we have the alarm interface. So these are alarms coming in, and you can log on using any PC if you have the authorization to do so, and you can monitor alarms coming in from your site. So this
Oh, Paul, your voice just went out. I can't hear you anymore. Hey, Paul, I think you're having some mic issues. Your voice isn't coming through. Can you hear me, Paul? Because I can't hear you at all. I'm not sure if you're getting my audio through. If you want to go to the chat to let me know. No, still nothing. No, still nothing. I can see you trying to talk. Do you have another microphone you could try using, or maybe disconnecting and reconnecting your webcam or mic? See if maybe that helps.
Okay.
That's it? Okay, and we're back on. Okay, thank you.
Well.
So I think I'm back on. So apologies for that. And so I'm not familiar with this, so with the Cisco system. So I'm going to just very quickly go over what I covered before. So this can be used as a self-monitored system where you can have this system on site on a computer to monitor your own particular site and your own cameras. Or you can have this set up in another control room, your own personal control room if you have one. Or the third option is you can go to a monitoring station. And the monitoring station can be an IMIX, a Sentinel, a Patriot, or a Bold. It's integrated into all of those proprietary softwares. You're seeing the alarm events coming in, and we're showing grey and red alarms coming in. The red alarms have been confirmed by the AI, and the grey alarms are showing a detection that hasn't been confirmed by the artificial intelligence. Okay, so we show you both of those, but you can actually move them so you're only receiving confirmed AI alarms coming in. So we go into one of the videos here. So this is a video, an alarm that's come in, and you can see that that's a 3-second video, and it's confirming with a probability that we've got a 97% probability this is a truck intrusion into this site. Okay, you can see here that this particular camera has been set up to detect trucks only. I'll explain to you what options you do have with the analytics very, very shortly. In the top grey box here, you have the option to trigger a siren. So sirens can be triggered remotely, or they can be triggered as the device goes off. This option here allows you, so if an alarm comes in and you're not actually sure that the AI has got it right and they've got it wrong, you can actually correct the AI and say, no, in this instance, that is incorrect. That helps because this is a learning algorithm. So the more of these that come back, it allows the AI algorithm built into the software to start to filter those alarms and to actually learn by the alarms coming in that have been verified or unverified. So typically that's an alarm coming from here, and obviously it shows the actual site and the area and location that's coming in. So if I go into devices, so this is a piece where Steve was talking about wanting to change particular areas. So if we click on the camera, the first thing that occurs is that when you program your camera on site and you do it through an app on the phone or by your tablet, the first thing it does is give you the GPS location of the site. It also, and you can go back in later on, you can also look at the device and it gives you certain information. So how many events have come in, by what criteria the alarms have been triggered, so cars, trucks or people. When the device is most active, so that's a good clue as to when intrusions are coming in. Could it be intrusions are coming in when children are coming out of a school or coming out of a club or something like that? It tells you your arming schedules, and it also gives you your battery life as well. In addition to this, general information. So alarm settings, you can change within the UI, you can change the thumbnail size or the first image that comes in. You can change the quality. So you can have high resolution, middle resolution, or even lower resolution. That affects the battery life. So, for instance, if you're overviewing a general site, you typically have it on the medium setting. But if you're placing cameras at, say, a level where you want to capture more detail, like a car number plate, you'll then set the first image as high resolution. The second file size, again, is your video that follows it. So the way that Recognize works is it takes a series of images and then connects those together to form your video. and you can vary, again, the quality of the image coming through on your video. Here is where you start to determine your detection zone and how far your camera can see. So here we have an alarm area, and the first thing you'll notice is that you have a red box. So in this particular instance, this is the full detection area that this particular person has got this camera set up on. But you can actually change it. So for instance, if there was trees or an area here with a public footpath, you could just move the detection zone there. You could also move it up, in, and you can generally move it down. So you can change the detection area wherever you want it to go. The red boxes in the center are the areas that are capturing movement that then triggers a detection. The green lines here, this is the furthest point that the camera will see, which is 110 to 120 feet, as Steve said. You can actually manually adjust that detection area and bring it back or extend it, depending on what you want to, how far you want the camera to view. So if, in this particular instance, if there's a roadway at 100 feet, you can actually configure the camera to stop looking at 100 feet. You can actually ask the camera to look at 90 feet. So it's not capturing anything that's moving beyond that detection range. Okay. Here on the schedule, so you can remotely configure the schedule, and you can also do that by week or by day. And you can change that at any time remotely. You don't have to be on site to actually do the changes to the configuration. You can also, through device configuration, make changes on all of your systems all at the same time. So, for instance, like daylight saving time, when the clocks go back or forward, rather than have to individually go into every single site and change them individually, through device configuration, you can actually tick all your sites and change all of the schedules at the same time. Coming down to routine check. So the system has a routine check that you can program, and you can do a routine check by whatever time you want to do. So you can ask it to check in every hour, every 6 hours, every 12 hours, whatever you want the system to check in with the monitoring solution. You can also say every 12 hours, one of the routine checks, I want an image sending with it from my devices, just to make sure that the cameras are all still viewing the same image. One of the benefits to that is if you have an image coming through every 4 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours, we have some software built into the UI, and if you ask us to do that, we can actually put together a time-lapse video for you of the site. So sometimes some sites want to have a time-lapse of the construction over a period of time. Using the routine check and the image that it sends through, we can actually do you a time-lapse on that as well. Motion and tamper. So remember I said to you, the green lines where the camera was viewing the furthest point. This is where you would change that. So if you want to view to the very edges of the camera, you would go to there. If you want to bring the camera back to, say, 100 feet or 60 feet, you would bring it back to there. Tamper sensitivity. So again, if these are devices or detectors are going on a post, and sometimes in high winds the post moves, they can send a lot of tampers. In that instance, you can just go into this UI here, and you can reduce the tamper sensitivity. Now, one of the key features with the tamper is that every time a tamper is sent, it also sends an image from that camera, so that you can actually see what's happened. As somebody tilted the camera, moved it up, taken it away, you can actually see what's caused it, the tamper. Your camera settings, this is where you can change the length of video that comes through. So we typically take 2 images every second, and you can then have a set number of photographs in there that determines your video length. So if you have 20 images, that will give you a 10-second video, and you can program that in here. If I go back to the top of the device, move that across here, you can also see that you have the option to arm and disarm remotely. So the way that the system typically is armed is either through a schedule, or you have an app on your phone that allows you to arm and disarm the system, and you can give user rights for the person to do that. But a third option, in the case of somebody ringing up to say, I'm coming on site to do some repair work, they can actually go into the user interface and arm either the whole system or, as you see here, individual devices. So you don't have to shut a site down from being monitored if they're on the one particular area of the site. You can actually just close that, disarm that particular detector, but leave the rest of the site still armed. So that's the events coming in. That's how you can use the user interface. So you can change the way that the detection zone is done. Coming back onto this area here, okay. This is where you program your AI algorithm. So here you have an option to, do I want to detect cars or trucks, bicycle, people, or motorcycles? You can tick any one of those, or you can have a multiple of those. And then the detection area, that red area that you set, will only trigger based on the criteria that you set here. Coming back into it again, so dashboard, everybody's got a dashboard, and dashboard allows you to monitor all of your sites, or you can view dashboard on individual sites. And here it's a health check on the system. So this tells you how many alarms have been coming in, by what criteria, so how many have been confirmed, how many have not. You can see the average arrival time coming in from these from the alarms, the routine checks, have any been not received, and the alarm loading times. And we even tell you the SIM signal quality from the SIM inside the bridge. So periods when it's the SIM signal deviates. And again, you can do that by individual site or by all of your sites combined. Device configuration. This is where it allows you to tick all of your devices and make any changes to a device, or you can check on an individual device and see what the status of that device is. So by ticking it, we can then look at that. So we can look at the configuration within that device and make any changes to it if we want to. And we can also see what the status of that device is. So what is it doing at the moment? So as we can see here, we know what the tamper sensitivity is. We know the sensors. We know the picture intervals, how many images we're taking, and we can see that everything is synced and everything is working. Finally, you have the management side of this, which I'm going to try and get rid of here. So the management allows you to create administrators. So a moderator, as we call them, can access everything to do with the site and make any changes that I've shown you here. Or you can give them limited rights where they can only change alarm events, or you can give them even fewer access rights where they can only view alarms, or you can give them access rights where they can arm and disarm only. Alarms can also, as well as come into this user interface or Remix, Patriot, Bold or Sentinel allows you to email those alarms to anybody that you want to have access to those alarms coming in. So the user interface is really unique, and one of the big pluses compared to, say, something like VideoFi. VideoFi, as you know, you have to go to site to make any changes, any configuration changes. With Recognize, you can actually do this remotely. So it saves on maintenance, and it also means that if any alarms keep triggering for whatever reason, you can actually go into that device, investigate, and make any changes remotely. And I'm done now, so I'm going to stop. So if Jack can now give the access back to Steve, and then if anybody's got any questions, I'm sure we can answer them.
Great. I will transfer this back over to Steve. Thank you so much, Paul. Does Steve have more to say, or are we going to Q&A now?
We should go into Q&A, Jack.
Fantastic. In that case, then. In that case, if anybody has any questions, now would be a fantastic time. Steven, I had to mute you real quickly because we're getting a feedback loop on me. So when you go to talk again, just unmute yourself. All right, the floor is open if there's any Q&A. Doesn't seem like it. So unless anybody has any questions they want to ask right now. Oh, all right. Then in that case, thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you so much, Paul, for the fantastic presentation. And on behalf of cctv.net, thank you to everybody else who joined. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their day. Thank you all.